Now in Bahrain, Al Jazeera has been told the police have fired on protesters near the capital, Manama. Now, these people have been attending the funeral of a 16-year-old boy who was killed on Thursday in clashes between anti-government protesters and police. The government says it's investigating that death. Dozens have been killed since Bahrain security forces began cracking down on protests in February. Well, on the line now, a journalist who was there at the time of those shootings. We're not naming him for his own safety. Can you tell me what you saw at this funeral?
At the funeral today, I saw thousands, my estimate is over 10,000 people marching on the streets of a main highway that's about 15 kilometers south of the capital, Manama, chanting, "We will redeem you," to the boy who was killed yesterday, and chanting against King Hamad and the government here. That after the funeral, people marched to the main street, where they were immediately met with police who were firing tear gas, rubber bullets. I'm actually in a village right now, and I don't want to say which one, but I've been to a number of villages tonight where a similar situation to what happened last night is taking place, where basically hundreds of youth in various villages are taking to the streets, are using vuvuzelas that we remember from South Africa, from the World Cup, the instruments that make noise, and chanting Allahu Akbar, God is great, and chanting against the regime. And police are invading. They're on the streets, literally right down from the house I'm speaking to you at now. The police are on the streets and they're firing. They're firing tear gas. I can see it off a neighboring roof, and the scent is coming onto the roof that I'm in, and actually I have to go inside. I'm going inside now, and yeah, because the gas is coming in. But this is exactly what happened last night when the 16-year-old boy was shot in the streets. He was actually shot with bird shots, which is basically light caliber shotgun, and he was injured in his face, in his neck, and in his chest, and died as a result. And the Ministry of Information in Bahrain has confirmed this today.
Well, as we understand it from what you've just been saying, you've had to get away from some tear gas on the streets. But tell me, when you saw the earlier protests and the police opening fire with what you say were rubber bullets and tear gas, was there any reason for the security forces to feel that they had been provoked? Was there any kind of confrontation?
I've never seen any arms on any of these youth. I haven't seen anything more than a few stones. And like I said, most are armed with these vuvuzelas or other air horns that they use to chant against the regime or make noises against the regime. It's really, I don't know the logic behind why the police are using such force against the protesters and against villagers, because really it does affect everyone in the village. Just now the protesters, which are youth and their teens mostly, were protesting, were chanting at the entrance of a village. The police began firing from a far distance inside the center of the village. We were at the entrance, we tried to run inside, and had to take cover by someone who was on his roof, who saw us and saw the tear gas in the street, and basically said, come inside, come inside. And that's what people are doing here. People are protecting, supporting themselves, taking care of the community, inviting people in, giving them shelter when they need. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. But I really can't explain why, and the police are using this force, but it's making people furious, and that's why we saw the huge number of people at the funeral today, because they're furious that this was a 16-year-old boy. He wasn't killed with tear gas like the 10 other people have been killed since martial law was lifted in June. He was a 16-year-old. He was killed by live fire by this shotgun ammunition.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much indeed.